8 weeks to go until the critical midterm elections. It'll shape the final 2 years of President Obama's term. In hopes of shoring up support, the president was in Milwaukee yesterday to unveil a $50 billion program aimed at creating jobs and improving the nation's infrastructure. President Obama also used the Labor Day speech to deliver a blow to his Republican opponents.
Here's what this election comes down to. They're betting that between now and November, you're going to come down with amnesia. They figure you're going to forget what their agenda did to this country. They think you'll just believe that they've changed. These are the folks whose policies helped devastate our middle class. They drove our economy into a ditch.
The president shouldn't expect much help for his economic plans from Republicans. House Minority Leader John Boehner attacked the project, saying we don't need more government stimulus spending. We need to end Washington Democrats' out-of-control spending spree, stop their tax hikes, and create jobs by eliminating the job-killing uncertainty that is hampering our small businesses. Administration officials admit even if the measure is approved, it may not create any jobs until sometime next year. For more now, we are joined from Washington by Politico's James Hohmann. James, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Here's the tricky thing here. It has to pass through Congress, and we've seen how that's been before. Does it have a chance of passing without Republican support?
The $50 billion plan that President Obama outlined on Monday really doesn't stand a great chance without some Republican support, because there are a lot of Democrats who aren't willing to get on board right now with what Republicans are calling another round of stimulus. Right now, stimulus is a dirty word. Everyone wants the economy to get stimulated, but there are a lot of independents who are extremely concerned about the high debt and the large deficits. And stimulus is sort of associated in voters' minds with running up the debt. So Obama was very careful on Monday to say that his proposal to spend the $50 billion is going to be paid for with offsets of tax increases on oil companies and other loopholes that they want to close for offshore companies.
And we're talking about $50 billion here. That proposal calls for rebuilding roads, railways, and airport runways. It sounds a lot like that economic stimulus plan, and we've seen so far that plan did not deliver on all of its promises.
Over the last few weeks, Republicans and Democrats have both been sort of strategizing on messaging. What we're hearing from both sides is essentially what we've been hearing for the last several months. The Democrats and people at the White House have for weeks been talking about showing the American people somehow that they're concerned about the sort of languid economy, that they want to show voters that they're serious about fixing it, that they still want to give it a shot in the arm, but they didn't want to have a second stimulus. So they settled on this infrastructure spending, which usually polls pretty well, but they took a big gamble because Republicans, as we saw on Monday, will blast this as more stimulus spending. And at the end of the day, it probably won't pass Congress. And if it does pass Congress, it won't create any jobs until next year, long after the midterm elections, and long after the very real possibility that Democrats lose control of the House.
Now, with every move here, there's a little bit of politics. Let's talk about that. Is making a proposal to spend more money right now a wise move for Democrats?
They're banking that it is. Essentially, what President Obama did on Monday was throw a Hail Mary pass in his messaging war. He wants to convince the American people that this should not be, in November, a referendum on him. It should be a contest between Barack Obama's economic policies and George Bush's economic policies. That was that amnesia quote we heard. The president is trying really hard to show voters that he's serious about fixing the economy. The speech today is part of a larger strategy to do that.
So, real talk right here. Republicans need 39 seats to control the House, 10 seats to control the Senate. Can they do it?
They can. The question is, will they? There's 56 days between now and Election Day. Labor Day is sort of the beginning of the official campaign general election season. Voters start paying attention right now. People start locking in their view of the economy and their view of the president. And independents who aren't particularly politically engaged during the summer start getting attuned to what's going on. And so at this point, anything could happen. We've seen some sways up and down for Democrats in the polls. But there is a very real chance that Republicans could retake control of the House. And there is it's a stretch, but there is a path in which you could see the Republicans getting the 10 seats they need to win in the Senate.
You
can look at the state of Wisconsin, where 2 years ago Obama won by 14 points easily. And at the start of the year, Russ Feingold, who's the incumbent senator there, looked totally safe. Now he's in the fight for his political life against a political newcomer.
The Democrats somewhat in that firewall strategy here, maybe if they use it in the midterm elections. I want to mention something about this USA Today Gallup poll. It says that Democrats are in worse shape now than the Republican takeover of Congress during the Clinton administration back in 1994. Do you agree with that?
We're seeing a big fight develop about how much 2010 is like 1994. It's actually funny because, as you might expect, that falls completely on partisan lines. Republicans say this is bigger than 1994. You saw John McCain on Sunday talking about how he's never seen voters so angry. But Democrats point to some real differences in 1994. Back then, they really didn't see the danger as they do now. And there are some areas where voters might be more likely and willing to vote for Republicans. But on the other hand, in 1994, it had been 4 decades since Republicans had had control of the House. Right now, it's only been 4 years. And the reality is that the strong support we're seeing in the polls for Republicans is driven more by a dislike, a disapproval for Barack Obama and Democrats than a desire to pursue Republican economic policies. That is a difference between 1994 and now.
So let's talk about this. Republicans lost control of Congress 4 years ago. Are voters more satisfied with the Republican Party right now, or is this just an opposition to the party in power?
If John Boehner becomes Speaker of the House next January, it won't be because a majority of independent voters want John Boehner to be Speaker. It'll be because they think Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi overreached, that they pushed too much too far. The same change wave, the same desire of voters for something different that propelled Barack Obama to the presidency 2 years ago is what threatens to take away his majority in the House today.